Good morning, everybody. I'm Tlish, and you're watching Coffee and Clicks. Um, I just wanted to thank everybody that's viewing on YouTube, at home, or wherever you are viewing Coffee and Clicks and tuning in every so often. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and enjoy today's episode of Coffee and Clicks. Hi, I'm Tlish, and you're watching Coffee and Clicks. Today we are joined by Alyssa McNeil from Team Majestix, Team Apex Predators. How are you doing, Alyssa?
I'm doing great. It's a pretty good evening. I just got out of work, so relaxing now.
So, also, by the way, viewers at home, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I really appreciate it. We're gonna have a great clicks conversation here on Coffee and Clicks as we always do. So Alyssa, let me start off by saying, you're a very experienced Heroclix player, an all-star Heroclixer. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the game? Are you are you a comic book fan, or like how'd you get started?
So one of my friends actually got me into it during War of Light, which everyone knows that was a big time for sponsorship. That was the only way you could get the boosters during that time. So one of my friends was like, "Hey, you come and play. I'll pay for your entry. I keep, what we buy, but if you get a prize, like you get to keep it. But it's cool. You get to learn like a board game." And I've always played kind of board games. I tried playing Pokemon when I was younger, but didn't have the friends to do it. Had friends, but no one was really interested. So at that time, I was like, sure, why not? Let's try it. Played a game the night before. It was pretty cool, and went to the tournament, and I just liked it. And I won the fellowship prize because, of course, I was the newbie. And I was like, this is cool. Yeah, maybe I'll come back and play. I'll keep this piece, but I don't want a collection, which a lot of HeroClix players know is a giant lie.
Yes,
So I ended up trying to collect. Right, it's such a big lie. So I collected like the whole War of Light set, which is a lot. But now I've kind of got it on a good basis now. I don't collect as much. I try to just keep the competitive pieces. But yeah, so I was sponsored, and I've been sticking with it since.
So what do you mean you were sponsored? What does that mean?
Yeah, so with War of Light, uh, my friend paid the money for my entry into the tournament, so he could get the figures, the boosters,
Oh, I see.
since it was sealed.
Okay.
Yep. Because at that time, the only way you could get the War of Light boosters was playing in the events.
Okay. So he paid for your sealed entry, and then he kept all the pieces afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, he kept what I pulled. I don't remember. I don't think I pulled anything super cool. But yeah, so he kept the pieces after the game, but I got to play, the 3, 4 rounds of HeroClix and kind of been stuck with it.
A lot of people tell me that because I wasn't around during War of Light, but a lot of people tell me that that was like a really
You're lucky.
super good set, or like
Yeah.
a good
Right.
starting
Yeah.
point.
It was like first time, and they're like, "Here are batteries," and I was like, "I don't even know how to play this game. What is this stuff?" So it was a quick learning experience for me.
And who like taught you how to play, or
So pretty much my friend Nate, who sponsored me, taught me a little bit, and the shop Hajamaji was in Utah. I was living in Utah at the time. That's a long story. Uh, Learned, and I played a lot at the shop. They had a good player base there. We would get 5 to 10 players for our events all the time. Danny Meacham, who I still talk to, he helped me out a lot. He was like the one player I couldn't beat. So once I finally beat him, I was like, okay, I can move on now.
yeah? And did you find that because I know when I started playing, I found that it was really difficult for me to actually find people to play with. Did you have that problem, or well, I mean, you frequent what? I mean, what store do you go to? You go to Majestix, right? That's your store.
Yeah,
So have
so
you always been going
my
there,
trail of
or
HeroClix has been all over the place. Started playing in Utah continued playing in Michigan. So shout out to Eternal Games and all of my Michigan players over there. And then I moved to California. So the past 3-4 years, I've been playing at Majestix. So it's been nice. In Utah, I wasn't really playing competitively. A lot of the people there were more casual players. And then in Michigan, I started picking it up a little bit because Michigan is awesome because you can drive 3 hours to play in Chicago, 4 hours to play in Ohio, and then you have Detroit, of course, in the Eternal Games there. So I started playing a little bit more competitively. And then I think here, playing at Majestix, Patrick has done a really good job of having a lot of fun tournaments, but also a lot of ways to practice to get better. And we have a really good competitive base here in California. We don't get to go out east as much, but we have Steve DiCarlo, Tony Rodriguez, Emilio, Robert Gallagher, who just got second in Worlds. He was also on my team in Nationals. They're really good. So playing against great people and getting your butt kicked a lot makes you play a lot better. So I think I've been learning a lot more competitive play here in California for sure.
Okay, yeah, because so back in Utah or Michigan, there wasn't. I mean, did you have a big community of Heroclix people in those states, or did it really just kind of you
Yeah,
found a bigger community in California?
Yeah, Utah not as much. I didn't really travel. We had Jake Williams, but at that time he wasn't really playing Heroclix as much. So it was more casual, more competitive, but the competitive wasn't the national style of competitive play. You weren't seeing, those main meta pieces. You were seeing a lot of just teams that people threw together that they really liked that could do well in our little bubble that we had. Michigan, like I said, I did play competitively, but I had my own teams. I wasn't really seeing what was being played and how to actually look at your opponent's team. So I had some really fun teams, some teams that did well in where I was, but I don't think would have done well if I brought it to nationals or worlds or anything like that. So I really kind of all came together when I moved here to California and started seeing what the actual competitive play was and building around my own play style. Because you have to build around your play style. If you don't, some players are really good at just playing whatever's thrown in front of them. Clearly, I do have a play style where I either have an alpha strike team or a team that is very hard to hit but can hit hard back. So if you look at any of my teams that I've won with or I've done well with, they're going to be probably one of those two types.
Well, actually, that's what I was going to ask you next, because I was thinking about what you were saying about competitive, and how you've branched from casual to competitive, which I think a lot of people do. They start with casual playing and then they go to competitive, well, some people are fine playing casual. I like casual. I like casual Heroclix as well, but I kind of like both. I kind of like doing both at the same time. I try to find time for playing casually, kind of like with my friends and stuff, and then I also like playing competitively. But you've had a great kind of like Heroclix season in competitive play recently. You won a San Diego WKO. You won. Well, you didn't. You came in second at Arizona State's, right behind Patrick. Patrick Yapoko
Yeah.
from Majestix,
Yep.
and then in nationals you came in sixth in singles and fifth in team nationals. So do you want to
Yep.
talk about any of the teams that you've been playing? Is there any competitive teams that you like? You were talking about how your style of play is, seems to be kind of aggressive. Is that true or
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say either aggressive like the Alpha Strike team or something that can, I wouldn't say barrier. It's not a turtle team. Something that can take a lot of hits. I would say aggressive then. I'm kind of freeform. I just like to go out, try to think about strategy, but not have to think about too much strategy. The teams that you have to pilot very specifically and have a lot of intricate details, it's not something I can pull off. And I know that. That's probably my greatest strength of being able to know that. So the team that I won with in San Diego with the WizKids Open is kind of like this. It's probably one of my favorite teams. I was the one who came up with it. Super excited about it. It was Stealth Sentinel at 200 points, the Danger Room Construct Mr. Sinister, the Shield Diplomat, Giant Girl, and then it was the Time Gem for Prob, and IDs. But the IDs is where it's really at, because you get to call in the 200-point 2x2 Magneto, which a lot of people, it throws them off. So first off, you have Stealth Sentinel, who's going to be incredibly hard to hit. He's got 20 defense, super senses, extremely long dial, and he has free Smoke Cloud and traded stealth. You're going to outwit him, you're probably going to have to outwit stealth at the time. It was before retirement, of course, with the IDs, so Black Widow wasn't out yet, thank God. And a lot of the only pieces that could see through stealth were Unseen, Mr. Oz, so is your support pieces. So Unseen wouldn't have to outwit stealth, and then you would have to put a lot into attack if you wanted to go for Stealth Sentinel, which then he's got, I think, 13, 14 clicks of life. And if you switch him to his other dial, he's got 2 stop clicks. And every time he switches dials, he heals. So he's a hard figure to take down. But at the same time, he's calling in the 2x2 Magneto, which is the beauty of the team, because he's got running shot Pulse Wave. But his Pulse Wave, he can see through blocking terrain. And it's not the blocking terrain where you see through one piece, destroy it per each range action. It's just he sees through it, and at the end of resolutions, it explodes. So you're getting a massive Pulse Wave coming your way, but at the same time, he has a retaliation on that click, and also has, once he does the Pulse Wave, the blocking terrain explodes, and he can generate an object and make a free TK with the object. So in a perfect turn, he can do 11 damage. And of course, I have 2 on my sideline. So it makes it really rough. He hits really hard, and then it's hard to take down the Sentinel. So usually by the time you can hit the Sentinel down to where he's almost dead, your team is usually pretty gone. So it's kind of fun. So it's kind of aggressive in that way, where it's like I've got a lot of armor on, but I've got a big bludgeon axe coming at you. But then after retirement, of course, I had to switch that because I didn't have ID cards, and that was the best part of the team. So I know Steve DiCarlo was trying to play this out in Bronze Age, and Pat was like, you know what, you should just try this modern team. And that's where I started playing the Black Widow, Micron, Medusa, Steve Rogers, and Voyager team, which I've also done really well with. And that's the Alpha Strike team. It's coming in hot. It's got a lot of attacks coming in hot.
Yeah. So with that team, so Micron is an Avenger. Is that what that is, or?
Everyone can be an Avenger these days, and my team chose Micron because you get that secondary free attack. And with his sidestep charge, he's got empower for the Living Hair. So Living Hair is 11 attack for 4 damage next to Micron, which is really good. It's got precision strike, and it's awesome. I love it. And if you need to get rid of any retaliators, you can always sidestep it away so they can't retaliate onto the Living Hair, because it, of course, disappears if it's not adjacent to Medusa. But then, of course, you have the second attack, or even the first attack, however you want to do it, Micron. So normally he can sidestep in. He's got damage with Close Combat Expert. So he can go up to 12 and 4 or 11 and 5, on however you want to do it. And the nice thing is you have a Perplex with Steve, and you have 5 Theme Team probs, which Steve and Medusa are great for because they're probably not going to do anything. And then, of course, the other additional attack with the Black Widow recruit that you can come out with. So come out, poison, and do another attack for 4 damage again with Micron if it's placed right.
And that's Voyager.
So that's all coming.
Voyager just carries them all up, right? So it's an Alpha Strike. So
Voyager
carries Medusa,
Micron
Black Widow. Black Widow produces the initiate, the Widow's recruit, and then and then Micron hits because he hasn't taken an action, right, or something like that. I forget how Micron works, but and then but he also has the power, and then he makes a living here.
Yeah, you make him tiny.
You make them tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. And Voyager, Voyager can move 12 carrying 3 people because she gets +1 to movement with the Avengers team ability. And so she's 14, -3, you get 11, +1 for the Avengers team ability. She's moving 12. So you can move up pretty much half the map, and then second turn, move up once more, and you have all of those attacks. They can take out a Captain Marvel in 1 turn, because if you hit it right, you hit with, I believe it's the Living Hair first, get Marvel to her first stop click, Black Widow, Captain Marvel, so she doesn't get the Invincible. Mm-hmm. Hit them with Micron, takes her to her last stop click, call in the recruit poison, and she's dead. And that's 95 points that were taken out, and you still have your whole team. So it's nice. It's very helpful.
Yeah, that's probably what you want to do.
There were a couple of times.
Marvel, yeah.
Right? Just take her out. Well, and if you position well enough, you can poison the other Captain Marvel as well if it's a double Captain Marvel team. So it gets her off of her hypersonic power, and that's actually, which is huge.
That's actually something I always had trouble with, was the positioning with Alpha Strike teams like that. So let's say you go first. I mean, you're not necessarily moving all 12 squares up at first turn, because then you're going to get hit on your turn, on your next turn, right? Or like, how do you, like, what do you wait for them to come to you, or you wait for them to move out a little bit and then you try to hit them, or like, how does it work?
I usually move up the whole 12. With Captain Marvel, it depends. So it depends on the map. I really liked playing on the WWE backstage area. And then one day I couldn't find it at the shop when Pat and I were practicing, and I had the watchtower, and I just laid it out. I was like, this will work, which I actually liked a lot better because it's got some elevation as well as blocking around the elevation. So it's nice. You can move up the full 12 with Voyager, hide, and it's very difficult for the other team to reach you. So with that, I can move up full 12, have whatever I need to move up for the next turn, and they're still in their starting area. They usually have to pick up equipment, get set up, things like that if I first. So it's really nice in that way where I can't, I'm safe to move up the entire movement. One of the cool things about the team as well, which if you looked at National, the only team that was played without objects, and no objects on my team.
Yeah,
so that's kind actually, of fun because
it's a benefit in that situation, because you can move up with, first turn and just be aggressive with it. That's really good.
Exactly.
And then what map are you playing on? You said there was the Justice League Watchtower.
Yep, Justice League Watchtower.
Okay.
The only time it got me into trouble was when I was playing a Sentinel team, because he was able to move up and destroy the walls. But unfortunately, during that game, I think they streamed it. We wasn't able to really kill anyone at that point. He just kind of damaged my whole team. I misplayed the rest of the game for the most part. I think I lost that by 5 points. Went to time. We just needed to roll on his Black Vulcan, and I may have gotten it. But
what team? What?
Yeah, so it's very hard. My team has.
Sorry. So where
did
you use that team? Where did you use that team? What tournament?
So that after retirement, that's the team I've been using. So for nationals, for teams and singles, for Arizona, I tried it in Worlds. It didn't go as well. I was wondering, I haven't play tested it that much against 1776. It still works. It's just I went 2-2 during the buy round, so the evening event. Uh, my first two games were close. I just wasn't able to close the point gap on them.
Well, and with the so you use that even in teams too? In the Extreme Highlander. Cool. That's cool. So
Yep.
because you know it does have a lot of different pieces that you could the other two teams can like build around and make something as well. Yeah, that's a really
Yeah,
cool
my
alpha striking team. I like that. Yeah, and
it's pretty
obviously it
nice.
works. Obviously,
My other teammate, yeah, it
go
worked
ahead.
pretty well. I was after every match, I was like my friends, I was like, I don't know how I'm here. How have I gone so far?
Um, no, you definitely have been killing it in the competitive scene, and that's a awesome team. I mean, as far as builds over your entire career, what would be a build that stands out for you over your entire career? Would be, I mean, other than this particular build, um, or just moments, memorable
Yeah, other than the
moments.
stealth team. Oh, most memorable moment are probably those teams that annoy you so much that you'll never forget. Did Yeah, it was pretty recent when I started playing, so it had to be. It wasn't that far off. I think I was still in Utah at the time. Um, Wesley Summers, I played him in Ohio because I was visiting. Oh no, it was Georgia because I was visiting family, and he, the Chase Pride from Trinity War with the Indigo Battery, the classic TV Mr. Freeze, Headpool, and I think it was Adara, and he was also playing Entity. So was Dusty Tellis on that team? No, I don't think so. Um, but it's rough because with Mr. Freeze, any character within 5 squares, the only range attacks they can make are in cap. So they can only use in cap. Whatever. It's a rough word right now. And then with battery, they can't target you outside of 5. So it makes a lot of your opponents, they have to be within 5 to encap you. And that's it. That's all they can do. And Pride, of course, can just go. She can hypersonic speed, hit you, move back, and then heal because she entity allows you to heal an adjacent character. And so it was just really rough. It was a rough team. He put me on a map that I could not get him to. I could not get him at all. And it was crazy because she has colossal stamina. So she just can't out action her almost. Sorry, my cat's meowing in the background. So I just remember playing that team and I was playing Absorbing Man with the utility belt because I had no idea what competitive Heroclix looked like. It was kind of a fun team though. And I just remember sitting there just looking at him and saying, I don't know what to do. I don't think there's anything I can do. But I'll always remember that team. I actually tried playing it in bronze a little bit and it didn't do bad with Majestix and their tournament that they have here, Bronze Age. It doesn't bad. I almost beat Steve, but he had a little trick up his sleeve that got me during the game. But yeah, I think that's the most memorable team I've ever played against. Because it was just that annoying table flip team.
Yeah, I've seen some annoying teams for sure. That sounds like an annoying. That sounds like a very annoying one. Like you can't do anything against that. Like what do you do?
Right. You sit down and you're like, all right, Wesley, I'm just gonna shake your hand. So I give them props for that because that was a good team. It was rough.
So also, so I have it here. I have it here. We can talk about this because it's just came out, right? We have the Galactus. Um,
Whew.
what's your take on it? Is it like a must play for competitive? Are you gonna be building with Galactus on your next team
I have
once it's
no
legal?
idea what I'm playing next. I've been working a little bit with 1976 course, kind of have to look at a couple of different versions of that. With Blacks, I need to see him. I need to see him played first before I start thinking about it. I'm a visual learner, so you can describe how it worked to me the whole entire time, and I'm just like, okay, sounds great. I don't know how I'm gonna actually put them down on the map and see what's going on. I like to say I like to get beat by it first before I try to play it, so I know how it works. So I'm hoping I'm going to be practicing this Saturday, and maybe we'll bring one out, see how it goes. I think you're going to see him, of course, in competitive. I mean, he's a resource like strategy, because I don't think he actually counts as a resource. So it's going to be really cool. The Herald dial is awesome. You always want to give your favorite pieces the powers and abilities and any extra thing you can. I think he's going to be cool on Black Widow, to make sure she's not outwittable. But the only thing with that is we have to see what they do with Black Widow on the watch list. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes from there. I think the elemental converter is kind of cool, bringing the map in smaller as the game goes on. I think you're going to see that actually come into effect in more casual games. I think in competitive games, you don't have enough time to see that really do a lot. So yeah, we'll have to go from there. One thing we've been talking about though is he's not travel size. So if you're traveling to an event for any competitive event, you may decide not to play him on a team, just for the fact that you may not fit in your carry-on. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a look at him.
Yeah, let's do it.
So here we are on Clicks Nexus, and thanks to Joe Pangrazio for developing or working on Clicks Nexus, and whoever else is, I'm sure whoever is working on that. It's a good website. Here we have Galactus. This is the elemental converter, which yeah. So
Yep.
the way this works is when playing Galactus, the elemental converter dial is in use whether he is on your force or sideline. At the end of your turn, click the elemental converter dial once. If Galactus or the Herald, so either Galactus or the Herald. So if Galactus is on your sideline, then it would just be the Herald that KOs an opposing character. Then you may click it an additional time. So at the end of each of your turns, you click it once or twice, depending on the situation. Every time this is the power cosmic symbols revealed, heal Galactus, the number displayed on the dial, and then also at the end of your opponent's turn, which means that your opponent gets a chance to move out of the edge off the edge of the map because it's at the end of their turn. Deal one unavoidable damage to each character on that force within X squares of the map edge, where X is the number displayed on the dial. So it makes the map smaller. It will start to click down. I don't know if I can zoom in on this. Oh yeah, there we go. So it will, it'll click down once the first turn, or click down once the second turn. By like third or fourth turn, you're on one, so you're making the map smaller by one around the edges, and your opponent sees that and can move away from the edge. So, but you don't have to move away from the edge. So it only damages your opponent. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think I agree with you. This is going to be. It can be used, and must be used, if Galactus is on your sideline, but it's not going to be too much of a detrimental factor, except in casual games. I think in like huge 1,000-point games, where you have lots of turns where you're going to be making
Yeah,
this map really small. Um, let's look at the.
probably stay around like the one
Yeah, it's probably going to
in
stay
a
around the one.
competitive game.
Let's look at the Herald dial though. So the Herald dial, you may pay 25 points to include the Herald dial on your starting force. This dial is in use whether Galactus is on the map or on your sideline. So you can use the Herald dial for 25 extra points playing casually with the Galactus on main force, or you could use it on your sideline as a 25 just a 25 point similar to a resource. And um, when the Herald is KO'd, the 25 points are scored. During force construction, choose a standard friendly character whose point value is equal to or less than half the build total to become the Herald. The Herald has a minimum of 5 range. Well, it will get, so it has a range value of 5 if its printed range value is less and can't be equipped or replaced. So you can make Darkseid your Herald, and now he has um, a 5 range, and he gets like running shot and stuff like that, which is cool. Um, um, the Herald now has power cosmic and can use the power displayed on the Herald dial. So as that Herald dial turns, he gets the whoever's the Herald gets the powers on the Herald dial. Galactus is coming. At the end of your turn, if the Herald is within 5 squares of an opposing character or KO'd an opposing character this turn, click the Herald dial once. Turn it both twice if both apply. So you're either just like similar to the elemental converter at the end of your turn, you're either clicking it once or you're clicking it twice, okay, depending on whether the Herald KO'd something. Um, and if once it gets down to click 12, it just stops, it just stays there. Um, your words are spoke, the die is cast, so shall it be. The Herald has power if you occupy an opponent's starting area, which is pretty hard to do. You have to get all the way over to the other side of the map to safely, especially in a casual game. I tried it in a casual game, like a 1,000 point, like a 900 point game with 300 point teams against Galactus. So we had this game on Roll
Oh,
20. We actually played a game on Roll 20 with Galactus against 3 separate 300 point teams with like special rules where they collectively had 7 actions. Well, they had 6 actions plus leadership counted for their whole team, so that they made it 7 actions, and it worked pretty well. But they just went for the Herald. My Herald was Chase Thor, and which was both thematic and cool at the same time. But um, but it worked pretty well. But I mean the Herald dial. So Thor had the Herald dial, and for him to get across the map to the other side in that game against like 900 points of figures, it was crazy. Like I don't think I could do that. He did help out, and he did last a while in that game, so he didn't die right away. Um, I just kept him back safely within 5 squares of an opponent, so that I think one of my opponents was playing Starro, because actually um, one thing that was brought up was is Galactus immune to mind control, and I don't think he is. I think you can mind control Galactus. I'm not sure, but
oh, geez.
so he's like, I'm gonna play Starro then, and I thought that was cool. So I'm like,
Right.
great, you're gonna mind control Galactus to like shoot Thor, or you're gonna mind control Thor to try to hit Galactus.
Right.
That's like but let's see. Yeah, so getting your Herald to the opposing part of the map is tough, but if you can do it, then you can power action to roll a d6. If the result is equal to or more than the number displayed on the Herald dial, place Galactus anywhere on the map on his purple 100 point starting line. So in a sideline game where you have Galactus as your sideline, you're bringing Galactus from your sideline into the game at 100 points, which is super good, right? If you can get to the starting area of your opponent and you can power action, you probably picked a Herald that's really tough, like Immortal Hulk or something like that, you know, like people have been saying like Undertaker because you can't really range attack him right away.
Yeah.
So I thought those were good options. I mean, if you can get like you get Immortal Hulk all the way to the end, power action him, bring in Galactus um, on his 100-point starting line. That's like an extra 100 points for your team, so that's really cool. Um, and that Galactus is no slouch at 100 points either. And then I mean, you think like 100 points. It seems too little for Galactus to be 100 points, but I mean he's pretty good at 100 points. And then if you're playing Galactus at the on main force, if you're main forcing Galactus, you can still use that Herald power action to bring to basically how that would work would be if he would power action. If you occupy the opponent's starting area, roll a d6. If the result is equal to or greater than the number displayed on the Herald dial, place Galactus anywhere on the map. So you would take the physical Galactus that's already on the map, place him somewhere else on the map, and then change him effectively into a 100-point Galactus. You would put him on his 100-point starting line, which could be a way of healing him, and you can do that over and over again. You don't have to. It's not like a once per game thing. So, as long as you are able to power action in your opponent's starting area, you can keep healing up Galactus to 100 points, which is really cool. And you're probably not playing a timed game based on points if you're doing like an 1,000-point game. I don't know how people do that. Maybe they time it at like 3 hours or something like that. But I think that's even too short for
Right.
a game like that. So, but yeah. So but
those are the nights you just bring everyone to food. It's Heroclix night.
Yeah, it's like we were playing one game for the entire night. Yeah.
Yep. Nothing else is happening that night. All Heroclix.
So there's Galactus. That's the Herald dial. But yeah, I mean, I think people are going to use him on the sideline to bring in that 100-point Galactus. Let's look at the powers that the Herald gets as well. He gets phasing teleport on the first one. I think the idea is to ramp him up because as he gets closer to your opponent's starting area, the powers get more aggressive. As you get closer to your opponents. So the first turn he's got phasing teleport, but then that Herald dial automatically clicks at the end of each turn. So the next turn he's got hypersonic, right? And then he can in. Then he can get in there. And then the next turn he's got running shot, and then the next turn he's got charge. But by that point you're already in the mix with your opponents, so you don't really need running shot anymore. In theory, you're already in there with and you can charge your opponent. In theory, and then he gets Quake, Pensai, Pulse Wave, and then we go to the damage powers: range combat expert, outwit, perplex, prob, and then prob and Pulse Wave. Very potent last click for the Herald dial, which sticks. So that then it does not change after the 12th click of the Herald dial. So yeah, cool stuff. I mean, I'm excited to play him. I don't think he's going to be like insanely broken, but I think he's going to be good.
Yeah. Well, and the sculpt is amazing. They did such an excellent job. I keep looking in the corner. They did such an amazing job on it. But $100 might prevent people from getting it. I used trade-in credits. I was like, there's no way I'm paying $100 for this unless I just use all my trade-ins. Which some people, I've bit the bullet and paid a lot of money for one or two figures that I needed for competitive teams. But it really depends on where you are competitively and what you're looking at to play. Because if you can play without Galactus, you're probably not gonna pay the money to purchase him unless you want him just as decoration, which of course, again, he looks amazing, so people might just want as a decoration piece. But I think it's gonna definitely make people think about their teams and if it's something that they absolutely need on their team, which at this point I don't know if it's necessary. Like when batteries were out, you had to have a battery, you had to have your resource. But with him, I'm not certain on how where the need is going to be on him. So I'm excited to see where he lands on teams and to look at the statistics of how many people are playing him, to see really how he's doing, and if WizKids might do this type of resource thing in the future, to see where resources are going to be in the future of Heroclix. See if they're going to come back. Because I started playing with resources, so it's always been kind of strange without having that extra stuff on the sideline for you. I mean, we do have troublemakers, trouble alerts, different things like that. So we've kind of phased into different types of sideline tactics. So it's kind of cool to see where it's going. I think it's definitely not as powerful. It's more annoying just having your opponent miss 3 times and you're like, yes, you didn't hit me. And then having Black Bulk in there, you're just like, oh, crap. I wish you did hit me.
Yeah. And, interesting about Galactus too is that I really enjoy the fact that I appreciate the fact that they made a Galactus that is competitive playable. It's not just for casual play, But do you play casual HeroClix often, or is it just mainly competitive?
Not as much anymore. I usually don't play like at my house or at a friend's. I usually just always go to the Majestix shop, and Pat does a good job of having days for competitive press, competitive tournaments, whether it's modern or Bronze Age, because of course we have the Bronze Age here. He does do something really cool that I love, which is HeroClix League. So I know some other shops do this as well, and I think it's a great way to play casually but also competitively. So what he does is it's 8 weeks long. We play every Tuesday, usually when a new set comes out. And the first week you buy boosters, you build a 300-point team, and you play three rounds. And then he tallies up the victory, so how many times you won, how many you got out of all 3 games, so your possible victory points. And he puts in a couple of other elements in there to help get points, things like that. And the format changes every week. You buy another booster every week, and it goes into your play pool for the entirety of League. And by the end of it, week 8, you play and see who's the top 4. And top 4 goes into playoffs. So it's really fun, and it's a way to play casually, but also still have that competitive edge to it. But you don't have any crazy meta pieces, of course, unless you pull it. I did pull Batman Prime during the Justice League, which was fun. That was great. Yeah, I won that league, but it's really cool because it also keeps you sharp on knowing what other pieces do, knowing might be overlooked for competitive play, and just knowing whatever's in front of you, you can figure out a strategy for. You can figure out the best move. You're not just practicing with one team. You're kind of, I would say, expanding your strategies and seeing how different combos can happen. So it's really fun, and it's that perfect balance of competitive and casual. So I really like it. We just ended the Spider-Man League, so that was really cool. My friend Richard Medina got first. He beat me in the playoffs, so I got second on that, but it was good. It was a rough match. It was a bad matchup for me.
I've looked through like the Majestix websites and stuff like that just to like look for things and stuff, look at articles and stuff because I know they have the Apex Predator like articles that people write about like the write ups on different teams and stuff like that. So I've looked through there and I saw that league on the website. But it's an in person league, right? I almost wish that they had something like that online because I'm from the East Coast, so like I would would love to get into like a similar type of a league. That sounds really fun. If they had something like that on like Roll20 or something, I would totally do it.
It's Patrick. He has been doing his Bronze Age tournaments online with COVID happening. So it's been really cool because people from all over the country can participate in the Bronze Age tournaments that are going on. Because unfortunately, it's very expensive to fly out of California to the East Coast. Trust me, I visit my family every once year. Like nationals is my time to visit family because I fly out to Ohio and then go to Michigan and Georgia and everywhere to see them all in one trip. But it's expensive, so we don't travel a lot outside of West Coast, where most of the major events are on the East Coast. So I think we do a really good job of still having our own competitive scene over here and having our own Heroclix kind of bull in this area. So it's really cool to have a lot of different formats to play in, a lot of different styles to see, and it's really cool.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I enjoy like I do like enjoy I like 300 modern, but I don't like playing it all the time. I like switching it up and playing like different formats sometimes. Um, but I was going to ask you. So, I mean, your team, that Alpha Strike team that you were talking about, it doesn't seem that much affected by the 1776, the coming of the 1776 double 1776 and all that stuff with the limiting the action tokens. Do you think it is, or I mean, are you going to jump on the 1776 bandwagon, or are you going to continue on with the Alpha Strikers? Or?
It definitely affects the Alpha Strike team because the living hair is autonomous, which it's close combat, so it loses that when it gets near 1776.
Right. Okay.
So it's still an Alpha Strike team. It's just not as deadly. So I mean, ideally, what would happen is you would bring Voyager up, of course, bring everyone up. I would hit with Micron because he can get the most damage, and then bring out a recruit for poison. So that's your two actions. Is Voyager. I mean, he can hit for 5, 6 if you really want to use Steve Rogers Perplex. Of course, you have all the probs there, and then you have the poison with the recruit. But at that point, it's a lot. So if they have another swarm team, which 1776, you're going to have quite a few pieces. It's tough, but hopefully you can position well enough to where you protect Black Widow, and you have Steve Rogers and a living hair kind of being body blockers or at least tie up pieces. So the next turn you can at least get 2 more attacks off before any of your stronger pieces die. So it depends. It depends a lot on placing, who we can poison, who we can try to get that attack off on, and if those attacks stick. Because it's dice game. I mean, I've got a lot of probs, but if Micron misses,
yeah,
it's gonna be trouble, big trouble.
Um,
right? Like, goodbye. We try to have you on the Avengers, but we're kicking you off the team now.
you could sub him for 1776. I mean, you could make him an Avenger, right?
Right. Yep.
Even though he makes everybody Spider-Man, you can just make him an Avenger, and then you're set, right?
Yep. I know. It's like, what Spider-Man team are you playing? Oh, it could be anything. Spider-Man family, robots, soldiers. Never know with Spider-Man family now.
So do you think that like 1776 or any other pieces should be watch listed? I mean, what's your thoughts on the watch list? Do you think that other pieces need to go on it? I mean, I know that's a big topic of discussion now. The Vulture's been winning a lot, and kudos to Adam Friedman. He plays it awesome. He pilots that Vulture team really well. He won nationals and worlds with it. So, but a lot of people are talking about Vulture being too powerful. Batman, Jason Wingard, and of course Spider-Man 1776. I mean, do you think any of those pieces should get changed or eroded or anything?
I know Black Widow's on there, so I am a little biased because I don't want her to be because I like playing her. Same pieces do really well, but I don't think it means that they need to be errated. I haven't really seen anything like the Felix Faust days where it just shuts teams down and you just can't do anything. That was rough. That was a rough time in Heroclixer's life. But I think there's way around Black Widow. Like I said, she's a tough alpha striker just by popping out a recruit. But I think if you can hit her, especially ranged, she's fine. I think one of the biggest things with Black Widow is honestly the re-rolling. Your opponent can't re-roll any attack rolls 4 or under and can't re-roll any of your rolls 10 or up. That's probably been one of the toughest things with Widow. I've won a lot of games by having them roll a 3 when they needed a 5 and them not being able to re-roll it. Even though I'm thinking in my head, maybe I want them to re-roll it. So it's tough. I think that's a little triggering now because you start playing and you're like, I rolled a 3. I can't oh, you don't have Black Widow? Okay, we're good. I'm going to prob it. Because you can pass all prob you want on your team, but if you roll under a 4 with her on the map, you can't do anything about it. So it's tough. I think that's probably, in my opinion, the most annoying thing about her. I can handle the turning off powers and the recruits, but the re-rolling, even when you have available, is tough. As for Vulture, the crazy thing is I did not see a Vulture team at all during nationals. I went up against all Black Widows, which probably says a lot more for Black Widow being on the watch list. I think there's ways around Vulture, especially with the Danger Room construct, with Undying teams, Immortal Hulk. I think at that time it comes down to matchups, but Vulture is tough. I mean, he can KO an entire team in one turn. At the time that happens and really the game doesn't happen, it's probably negatively affecting just in general the vibe of Heroclix. So I don't know. I think at this point we might as well just wait until he retires because it's just one more year of Vulture. 76, we have quite a few more years for him. And I think that's the biggest one that needs to be looked at. He didn't win Worlds, but it's just definitely an oppressive piece. Bringing down any team to 2 actions is tough. So it might change the format in competitive play where we see a lot more of one-man armies again, where we weren't seeing that many with Black Widow coming out. So it might just form a new style of play. And we're going to have to wait to see that, to see if it happens and if it comes out naturally, or if it's tough and no one can beat 1776, which I think he is beatable. But we have to see how it affects the players first. We've only had a couple big competitive events happen. So I think we need more time to see how he's really affecting the game. At this point, I think he's fine. He's annoying, but I think you can definitely work around him because he's got Perplex. He's got a stop click with super senses, but Other than that, you hit him twice, he's really not that hard to take down, and then you get your actions back. So it depends. I think we still need to see how he affects play.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of. I mean, do you play Magic the Gathering at
That was
all,
really
or
long-winded.
no? That's okay.
I don't. Not that much of a nerd.
Well, I do. I used to play. I used to play a long time ago, and
Always walking to the top. What up, nerd?
um, no, but it just reminds me of what I was going to say is that the 1776, this action limiting thing, kind of reminds me of like a counterspell deck in Magic, where like you just don't let your opponent play anything. You know what I mean? Which was a popular strategy.
Yeah.
Just like playing counterspell, counterspell, counterspell. You can't play anything. You can't play anything. But limiting what your opponent can do, is a viable strategy. It's just not necessarily a fun one because I know when I used to play against
Right.
counterspell decks in Magic, I did not enjoy just sitting there having every spell I played just countered every single time. It was just not fun. But that was a long
Yeah,
time ago.
right.
I
You're
played
just
Magic, so
right. Yeah, it's like I said. I think he's beatable, but I think he might affect the enjoyment of the game. I mean, if you're playing competitively, you are playing for fun, but you are also playing to win. Uh, so it's finding that balance there. And like I said, we'll have to see on what he affects most to see if he needs to be errated. I think just making him unique would be fine, but we'll see.
well, instead of errating him, they might just come out with other pieces that. Well, I guess either way, you're building around 1776. So I mean, I understand where maybe they need to change him a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even if they come out with
I mean,
pieces, I mean, they already have like Doctor Fate. That you can play a eight action Justice League team. And
right.
and then you only have 6 actions, and you're good.
Right. You're like, okay, I got a lot of actions.
I mean, I think that's what.
Yeah, it's just playing
No, I think that's what Isaac played.
around him, and
Isaac played in
yeah.
Nationals. He played.
Well, and Isaac also played. He also played a really good Fantastic Four team too. I think the Fantastic Four team being able to switch out the pieces to what you need is really effective. And ever since they previewed the dad sweater thing with the 19 Defen and his baby's coming out and the Perplex, I've thought he's probably one of the best support pieces that we've had in a long time. Well, at least that I really like. So the Fantastic Four teams, even with a thing on them, I think is really cool because 19 is hard to hit, and then you have a Perplex on top. He's got Invincible, and he's got his kids attacking you. He's really good. So the Fantastic Four teams, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of too. I think they're going to become more popular than they are now.
Well, speaking of which, so Vulture, we talked about Vulture, and we talked about how, we just wait until retirement for him. But there's also maybe there's been a little bit of previews for House of X, which is coming out, and that has the Krakoan revival mechanic, which might be a counter to Vulture, right? And then also, Fantastic Four is getting a boost because after House of X comes Future Foundation, which looks amazing, and then you have the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary set as well. Which one of those 3 sets are you most excited for?
All of them. No. So right, every single one. Like Whiskas, just take my money. Here you go. Thank you. Honestly, think House of X, probably just because I was in the comics a little bit when I was younger, when I was in middle school. it just didn't really stick. But one of the first things that got me really into superheroes, and people are going to judge me for this, were the X-Men movies. Um, yeah, the first X-Men is like one of my favorite X-Men movies. Deal with it.
It's a good movie.
You have like Toad, right? Saber. Nothing was done right. It was horrible. You have Halle Berry, but it was really cool, and it's what got me into superheroes. So I was huge into mutants during that time, and Charles Xavier, Magneto. Probably one reason why I love the 2x2 Magneto so much. But that's really what kind of got me into superheroes. So I think with that set coming out, and this is the first like straight X-Men set that I'll be seeing, because I did see Deadpool in the X-Men, but no. Wow, the X-Men animated series. I am like lying to your face.
Well, the Deadpool in that set was like, the Deadpool in that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like
was,
trying to.
It was like a comment, a 30-point
Like, there's
comment.
a lot of it. Yeah. But I think this set's going to be really cool to see more X-Men, to see their powers. I think they said Nightcrawler was going to be in it, so that's going to be awesome. And like you said, yeah, the Krakoan revival is going to be really neat, because it's giving players that choice. Like, do I kill this figure, or do I face all of the bystanders that they're going to come out with, or do I just try to play around them, which, is definitely a strategy. So I think it's going to be really cool to see all of my favorite X-Men coming out again and seeing what they're going to do and how many of them I can play on a team.
Yeah, yeah, and actually, if you, I mean, I read comics in middle school and stuff too, and then I kind of stopped after for a while, and then I started up again, like later in life, and got into a lot of really good books and like graphic novels, like trade paperbacks and stuff like that, and read a lot of good storylines. And one of the really good ones right now is House of X. House of X is just a great comic storyline, so you should definitely read that. And so I was also going to ask, like, of those, so yeah, we talked about those three sets, and I'm super excited for the other two as well. Wonder Woman looks great. We don't know a whole lot about it because we haven't seen too many of the previews, but we also Future Foundation. We saw that there's going to be an Ultimate Nullifier in that set. There's going to be the Silver Surfer with the Hulk armor, which looks really cool.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a surfboard equipment, so I'm really excited for that as well. Although I know Wonder Woman has they're going to have like detachable. I don't know how that's going to work, but it looks like they have like accessories, little items for the and also the pieces are getting bigger, so they actually are enlarging all of the pieces starting with X-Men, so that's going to be cool. So I'm really excited for what's coming up in the future with Heroclix. But looking back, what is your favorite set in Modern right now? Just not counting
Modern.
Not counting House of. I mean, yeah, that exists right now in Modern.
So one of my favorite formats is battle royales, or at least our battle royales. I think they're a blast, because that's what happens when I go to Origins. This Nationals was the first Nationals I've ever played in, because I always go to Origins, but I always just do the battle royales the entire time, because it's fun. So one of the things that I would say, Captain America and the Avengers was a really fun set to play in battle royales. So in sealed events, it was really cool because all of the figures melded really well together. They had a lot of synergy, and I think having that, especially in battle royales, it just makes them even more fun. Because I've sat at a couple of tables where you sit down and you pull some decent pieces, but they pull 300-point Juggernaut, and you're like, I'm gonna lose this. But with Captain America, I think it was really nice because you were able to have a decent chance no matter where you were sitting, no matter what you pulled, to have at least a good, fun battle royale. So I'd have to say that's probably one of my favorite modern sets. Plus, you get Peggy Carter and Becky Barnes as the Ultra Chase. And the Living Legend tactics are annoying, but it's really cool to be able to morph into someone else when the character dies. So we'll see. That's going to be cool with the Krakoan revival as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you actually. I think Captain America. It's for me. It was between the X-Men Dark Phoenix because of the Colossals. And they had,
Yeah.
you had the 2x2 Magneto, which is awesome. You had Dark Phoenix, who's great. I really liked that set, but then I also really liked Captain America and the Avengers because the super rares were really good, and I'm kind of like a super rare and a rare guy. Like I like to play a lot of like even in casual games. I like to use my super rares because they're like a little more complex and they're a little bit and the rares and the super rares I like to mix in with my teams, and I really like the super rare um, selection in Captain America and the Avengers because it has you have Captain Marvel, you have Hulk. Um, what else do you have in that set? Just I'm just an Avengers guy too. I'm like a really I like the Avengers. So the fact that Steve Rogers can turn people into Avengers, I'm also a Shield guy. I love Shield. So there was so much Shield in that set. Like yeah, you had like
Yeah.
so much Shield. Quake, are you kidding me? She's like the best power common. She's so
Yeah. I have her been trying to play her on my bronze teams for a call-in because you have the Quake ID card. So she's awesome because you just come in, charge, Quake 5 squares away,
that's
don't even
awesome.
let fire. And they're just like, wait, what? And you're like, yeah, I just quaked you. It's cool. From 10 squares away. It's
Off
fine.
off and
Everything's
off
okay.
elevated, so you drop down 2 squares.
Yep. Yeah, like every time we had to like during league when we played with her in any sealed event, we're like, "Oh, you pulled Quake? All right, you got this. Can't do anything about it because she's strong and she's tough to hit too because you have to get to her and you have to go through a bunch of other shield people to even get close to her. So she's a fun figure, and the espionage hits were really cool because you have stealth, you see through stealth, and that's always a big thing in Heroclix is to be able to bust stealth, and almost that whole set is able to. So it's rough. It's rough to play against. But it's also fun to play to be on the other side.
Yeah, a friend of mine has a really cool spy team that he uses a lot of pieces from that set, but he uses Spy Master, and then he just makes it.
Yep.
Every character on his team has stealth, and then he just sits in stealth, and then his guys get +1 defense because of Spy Master, and he can theme prob, and I mean it's a cool team. It's a pretty cool team. And then he uses Chase Widow, either Chase Widow or he's used a version with Motorcycle Widow, who's also awesome. She's really cool, and you
Yeah.
equip her with the Nightbringer to give her stealth. Yeah.
That's not fun. No, don't do that. One of the figures that I really want to figure out to make competitively, like I'm the ideal person where I'm like, this is a cool idea, but someone please make it work. And then I just give it to Pat. But it's Trapster from Fantastic Four. He's rare, but he's got the 12 shot. He's 75 points, and I think that's killer. That's why it's never going to happen with him. But
Also, he doesn't
he's
have
got
willpower.
the cap with. Yeah, and he doesn't have willpower. No, he does. He has willpower on his top click.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
I think. My line? No, I think he does. But yeah, he just gives out the pace markers, and he's got plasticity. So he's uncapping 3 of your people. They get a pace marker. They're tokened up, and they have to roll breakaway for 6 unless they have improved movement. So it's rough. And in sealed events, he kills it because you're like, okay, roll your 6, but I'm gonna just do pot shots at you with these other guys. And he's scientist, so I always played him with Valeria, so he gets +2 to whatever he needs. He's tough, and I wish I could make him competitive. I don't think he's got a place there yet. Maybe it'll be a figure that comes out in the next few sets that will help him out. I just think he's just too much points.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely cool though. Definitely fun for casual. I don't know if he's fun for casual though because you're literally pasting your opponent's pieces.
Right?
It's like, yeah,
Yep.
this is a fun piece,
Yep.
but you
Like, all
can't
right,
move. You can't move.
wait, oh, that's it. Yeah, you can't move. No, you just can't move.
It's fun for me. It's fun for me.
Where are you going? You can't. Right? It's great for me. Like I'm literally just playing, and you're sitting next at this point. I love it. I love it. You have to waste all of your actions to move, and I'm just gonna keep incapping you. So hope you have sidestep.
All right. So if you won nationals or worlds, this is a commonly asked question. I think everybody gets asked this question at some point. Is what would you design as like a figure, or a map? I'm gonna put them both together. What type of what piece would you want to see clixed, and what would it do? And then what map would you make, and what would it be like?
So map wise, it would probably have a lot of hiding places, and a lot of blocking for my 2x2 Magneto. That's all I need. Just a lot of places where I can get through that blocking while no one else can. I'd play it in Bronze Age like every single time. As for the figure, I thought about this a lot, and it would be a parody figure, and WizKids would never let me do this, but I would definitely ask them. Back in the day when you could put yourself on the figure with whatever character you wanted, I always said I would want Absorbing Man and his ball, but I'd be on the ball like Miley Cyrus and Wrecking Ball. You got to do it, and I'd give him range. He's swinging it around, right? You need at least to give him some range, and then maybe duo attack, which is not a thing anymore. But I could be on the Wrecking Ball punching people as well. So it'd probably be something like that, and he just absorbs all of the powers. Probably similar to a lot of the rogue pieces, where when she KOs or hits someone, she can choose a power from them. So that's probably exactly what I'd do.
Cool.
Never
cool.
happened, but I'd like to think about it.
And my last, so that was going to be the last question for today, but I do have an extra question for you, because we're trying to we're gonna start the petition right now to get Scott Porter on Coffee and Clicks. So if you were to try to compel Scott Porter, if you could say one thing to try to appeal to Scott Porter to come onto Coffee and Clicks and be one of my guests, what would you say to him?
Ooh, well, one has to know Scott to get him to come on. So you have to get inside of his head. Clearly, he's an actor and he loves Heroclix. So he likes the spotlight. I would say, we'll get a customized Scott Porter Heroclix figure and give it to him if he comes on the show.
I like that.
Which our community has a lot of great customizers, right?
Bribery. I like that. Always bribery is always good.
Bribery. You got that. Always gotta go. Well, and how cool would that if he's like, oh yeah, here's my own little Heroclix figure, and he'll have it in all of his previews. Because he has, like his Galactus in the back of his stuff. He's got all of his toys in the back of his previews. So he could always just have his own little Scott Porter Heroclix figure in all of his videos. He'd love it. There's no way he could say no. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I hope you're watching, Scott. Mr. Porter, Scott Porter. I hope you're watching. We do appreciate what you do for the game, by the way. You do a great job on as a spokesperson for the game. So thank you, Alyssa. It's been a great time talking Heroclix on Coffee and Clicks. And everybody at home, don't forget, wake up and smell the clicks. I'm Tlish. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.